Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. All right, first we have Diana Fox for the Office of the Aging with a resolution that was put on this agenda and bypassing Human Services because it's a timely manner. So if you're here, Diana, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. The farmers market coupons that we hand out every year, we're not able to do in our usual way because of COVID. And so we're requesting a certificate of insurance so we can be sitting at a table at the farmers market for several months over the summer to be able to pass them out that way.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Thank you. Could you just explain what those vouchers are and who they go to?
Yes, they go to those who are over the age of 60, and they are in packets of 5, I believe, or four packets of 4 at $5 a piece. So each person gets $20 to be able to use at a farmer's market for fresh fruits and vegetables. And so it's something that we do every year, and it's just one of the programs that we offer. And in conjunction with the agricultural markets, and it's very popular. We last year we were able to actually request even more. We always run out, and it definitely is it's something it's wonderful to be able to offer, and we're so fortunate to be right across the street from them too. So
Yeah, that works out very well.
it does.
What's the qualifications for someone to receive a voucher other than age?
I really don't think that there's anything that they have. They basically, there's no income requirements, anything like that. It's just for older adults, and they do they just sign off on them, and then they're given them. We do have to record all of that information to turn back in for reporting, but there's no income requirement or anything like that.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments or questions for Diane?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Shelley.
So Diana, this is a great program. Are there other farmers markets in the county that you also provide this opportunity at, such as the farmers market in Leroy?
You know, I'm not sure that I can't answer that question actually. I don't know that we haven't gone there. Normally what has happened is people have just come into our building and signed up for them and then taken them to whatever farmer's market that they want to go to. And we, I've worked with some of the senior housing and things like that to pass them out. So they could use them anywhere, but that's a really good question. I can follow that up.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll ask the person who normally is in charge of that, and I can certainly get back to you with the information. I don't know for sure that we have done that before. We've never gone out to do it. So.
About how many?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
All right, just let me ask one and then you can go ahead.
Sure.
How many do you distribute, Diana? How many vouchers?
I believe last year it was 840.
Wow. Okay, go ahead, Andy.
I might have missed this part, but how is this funded? Through the state?
Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't know if it comes directly out of the New York State Office for the Aging, but every office for the aging across the state does this in conjunction with their agricultural departments. And we're talking about how to go about doing that this year, because people do actually have to sign for them, that they're actually picking them up. It's not something that we're allowed to mail out to people, that kind of thing.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, Gary.
And can you explain how the vendor gets their money? I mean, this is a coupon that they hand it to a vendor. How does the vendor get their money?
I'm not completely sure on the particulars of that, but I believe that then they turn it back around and get funded back in that way. Maybe it goes back to either NYSOFA. I'm not completely sure. another excellent question that I will have to ask and follow up on for you. I'm learning so much.
All right, any other questions for her? Any other
Yes.
legislator have a question?
Yes, Madam
Oh,
Chairman?
John.
Yeah, it was over 800. Do they like prorate it the next year? Will we get like 900 or 1,000, or how do they figure the amount we get?
You know, I'm not completely sure about that either. Hey, lots of things I don't know that I'm learning, so I'll ask more. No, they don't we're getting the same amount this year that we got last year. And last year we actually got more than we were supposed to. Just we ran out, we requested if they had more. And I don't know if it was that some other area in the state had extras that they hadn't utilized for some reason. But that's how we got up to 840.
Thank you,
Thank-
John. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Sure, Sean, go ahead.
I believe that this is part of the Grown and Certified in New York program, and that the market managers then collect those and help with the distribution of the proceeds of the coupons back to the vendors. But it certainly is about making sure that our own food that we grow here, fruits and vegetables in New York State, are available to our older population. And I'm surprised to find out that that now includes me. So I find it interesting that people can come in and sign out a packet and then maybe go hand them out at another place.
What do you mean?
So you said that we could have somebody comes into the Office of the Aging and signs out packets of them to take them somewhere else. Is that-
No. No, an individual person. If I qualified, I could go to the Office of the Aging and get one for myself.
And then bring it to Leroy and use it at that farmer's market.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think Maureen Esterbrook has provided this service in Leroy before for us. And again, I would just like to encourage that opportunity again for the seniors in Leroy.
Yes, Maureen is in charge of that program, and so I will definitely talk with her about that and find out more so that I can let you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Diana, for that. If there aren't any other questions, I'll call the vote for this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you so much for answering all our questions. Sorry.
I'm glad you know, that's how I learn. The more questions you have, then I have to dig further. So I appreciate it. And
Well,
I
we
appreciate
just
your
try
time.
to anticipate the questions that we're going to get. That's
Yeah.
why we get so many. All right,
Thank you.
Diana.
All right.
Appreciate it. Okay, next up, we have a resolution number 2, and it has Anita Cleveland. Are you on, Anita?
Yes, good afternoon.
Go ahead and present it.
Okay, this is a resolution to amend our current flexible spending account. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the IRS has announced some changes to allow some flexibility. And so what I'm recommending is that we amend our plan to include the mid-year changes to allow people to either revoke an election, they can make a new election, or increase or decrease their amount for both the medical and the dependent care. And the other recommendation would be to extend the grace period that they can use these funds. Normally, they would have until the end of the year, till December 31st to use this. By extending that, that would give them additional 75 days to use the dollars.
Move it.
Thank you, Gately. Thank you, for the second, Shelley. Comments or questions about this?
I think this is just an incredible opportunity, especially in such uncertain times, to help our families who do take advantage of this flexible spending account to make ends meet in a better way with pre-tax dollars. I appreciate this opportunity that we can afford to our staff members.
I agree. Any other comments or questions from any member of the legislature? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
All right, County Treasurer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is a resolution for an agreement for the county treasurer to collect the 21 town and county taxes for the town of Stafford that we talked about a month ago.
Yes, I remember that. Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gary. Comments or questions for Scott? Let's go ahead. Anyone? All right, Scott, so we did discuss this earlier and you're confident that this covers your expenses for providing this service?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Is there any other questions from any legislator? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Scott. Next up, we have Steve Zimmer for, oh no, you have another one. Exemption.
Yep, I have one more.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
This is an interesting resolution. I am requesting that we exempt a certain parcel in the town of Batavia. It is known as the Batavia International Motorsports Park on Harloff Road. This property has been in bankruptcy since 2008, and in just the last couple of months just came out of bankruptcy, but has accumulated a number of amount of taxes that we're going to have to, that we have made towns and the school districts whole. And now due to the governor issuing an executive order forbidding tax foreclosures at this time, I would like to exempt this property for at least the 2021 taxes, simply because I don't want to have to make the town of Batavia and the Batavia City School District whole for one more year that we've already done since 2008.
Motion for approval.
Thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. Comments or questions for Scott?
I'm sure I have a question.
Go ahead, Gary.
Scott, I know that business has been operating on and off since 2008. Is it operating now, do you know?
I do not know if they are operating. Part of the problem with this thing, like I said, they went into bankruptcy in 2008. We've had a couple of problems with that. The owner was from Canada, which caused a lot of issues with the bankruptcy court. And then I'm going to guess around 2012, 13, the owner passed away, which caused more problems in the bankruptcy with the bankruptcy. But I know it has continued to operate, and I don't know who is operating it. But I was hoping that we're going to be able to sell it sometime this fall, but now with the executive order out there, that's been delayed for a while.
So it's your intent for the county to foreclose on this property, is that correct?
That is correct. When we can start. It's possible that who's ever operating it may come in and pay the taxes, which would be great. So we don't have to write them off. But if that doesn't happen within the 90-day period that we're going to allow, then we will sell it at auction once we are allowed to do so.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Andy.
how much is owed now, Scott?
With interest and penalty, it's slightly over $98,000. But if we were to sell this property and have to write off the taxes, the amount that we would write off would be just the tax amount, which would be somewhere around $50,000.
Okay. This would not absolve anybody from the past debt. It just doesn't allow, it would allow us not to continue to put it on it for the next year or two because we don't want to have to pay the shares to the other municipalities. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
So, I mean, I would commend you on seeing this and bringing it to our attention because I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, if we end up with the property, great, we'll sell it and hopefully get our money back. But at the same time, we don't want to be able to, we don't want to have to be paying someone else for money we're not getting. And so I commend you in finding it, and I'm in support of it.
Thank you. And that's my intent, because I did not want to have to pay other municipalities, and, you know.
Money we're not getting, right?
Exactly.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Andy. Any other comments regarding this?
Scott, is the present owner a known entity in any way, shape, or form?
I do not know, because the ownership was from Canada, and trying to get information from them or the court is impossible.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have one question. Scott, this begs a question. Is there more properties out there that are in this situation?
No, not right now. We do have a couple that are in bankruptcy, but nothing like this.
All right, thank you.
Any other legislator comments? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, now we have a resolution for technology with Steve Zimmer. Steve, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
This resolution is to renew the annual maintenance from Linstar. This supports the cameras, the door locks, the software that controls all the investment we made over the last 2 years in security surveillance for the county. Without the annual maintenance, we'd be on a time and material type basis, which means best effort on the contractor's part. So if we have a camera down, it may take a week or two for them to get here, and we would not have firmware updates, which would be a security issue, as well as not having the ability to view the cameras and maintain the schedules for all the door locks.
Thank you, Steve. Have a motion, Shelley? Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Gary. Comments or questions?
Steve, was there any discount given on this agreement or not?
It's our New York State contract prices, Gary.
All right, thanks.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Does anybody look at these cameras?
Yeah, there's views up in a lot of departments, DSS, mental health, Park Road, county old courthouse, DMV, courts facility.
If we have an issue, we go back and look at the tape, or someone's watching these regularly?
Some are watched regularly. It is recorded and saved for 90 days.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislator comments or questions?
I've got a comment, Madam Chairman, Gordy.
Yeah, go ahead, Gordy.
I just want to comment on the cameras at Park Road. We had one where one of our employees had a heart attack running a snowblower. It was right on the camera at the time. I don't know if that's a good example, but we have had several instances where things have happened and you go back and see who, pick up a plate number on the car. Or, so there's been some valuable information that's been gathered with those cameras.
And that makes a good point. It goes to the overall investment of security that we've been forced to make over the past, since I've been on. When I first got here, pretty much everything was open and the security was very slight. And now we've made a major investment, which is part of costs that were accumulated recently that weren't part of budgets years ago. So just another instance where county costs for county government are increased and they get put onto our budget. So I just want to make that point. This is something that's new, but was needed. Any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is to set the public hearing for the Genesee Community College budget. And I think I saw Bill and is the president here as well? Jim?
Yes, I am.
All right, good. Thanks. All right, so can I have a motion for this before we have Shelley? Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Second.
You.
Yep.
Thank you, Gary. Comments or questions with the setting of a public hearing? Anyone? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. All right, we'll move on to the next one, which is the operating sponsor share, the budget of that. Can I have a motion for this, please? Shelley, thank you.
Second.
Second, thank you, Andy. All right. Dr. Sunser, did you want to lead us off here and just explain your issues that you've had with your budget and how you've been proactive and discuss the importance of the sponsor share, please?
Sure. Thank you very much for having us here this evening. The budget process has been fairly extensive and it's extended into the current year. As the legislators know, our budget cycle runs a little bit different than the counties and the states. We're on a 9/1/8/31 budget year. So we are in our last quarter of our current fiscal year. In this year, we've been working really hard to bring our budget down. We had in the area of $2 million in the current budget that was allocated from our fund balance to balance that budget. And we have effectively closed that gap throughout the year. So although we do anticipate from the state signaling that we may have a reduction in our current year fourth quarter installment. So that'll create another gap that we'll be working on. You know, as we turn our attention to next year's budget, what you see that our trustees have approved is a $38.1 million budget. That is in the area of $3 million below the current year budget. The county sponsorship share is requested as flat, and that's flat to the sponsor share. It does not include the additional $100,000 that the county allocated this year for projects. So that is not in this budget, but the flat amount is in the budget. And we've had a number of conversations with the county about the importance of maintaining the flat level of funding from the county. It's called maintenance of effort. And without maintenance of effort, it puts into place a number of additional considerations that SUNY would impose on the college. And just for our own kind of thinking here, if we were in that kind of a scenario and our county was being calculated the same way the other counties are, the Livingston, Orleans, Wyoming, Queens, whoever it may be, the bill to the county would increase by in the area of $950,000 from the sponsor contribution. This 38.1 is part of a multi-step plan that I believe was shared with some county legislators that we have put in place to deal with the deficits coming from the state. Currently, the state is suggesting that next year's budget for the college will include a 30% reduction in state aid. Obviously, when you're an operation that is labor intensive, we teach and we support students to get through their academic programs. You're not going to be able to go through that program without having some type of adjustments made. So what we've done on the college side in the preparation of this budget is we introduced a 5-step plan that we worked through to help bring our budget into line with this 38.1 million, and anticipating we may need to go as much as $2 million more, $1.5 to $2 million more below this during the course of the year. Some of the things that we put into place, our original request for a budget was 41,653,862. That would have represented about a flat budget to the current year. We brought it down to 38.1 by freezing things like travel, training, capital projects that we had in mind that were slated for this budget have been deferred, everything other than critical maintenance issues. We had a printer purchase replacement in the plan that we cut, office supplies, contractual services, and some facility improvements and adjuncts. That got us down to where we are currently at the 38.1. To go the rest of the way that we believe we're going to need to go during the course of the year, we have looked at instituting management confidential pay freezes. We have 2 collective bargaining units on the campus. One is a combined faculty administrative group, and the other is our CSEA group. We negotiated with both of those groups to take pay freezes, so everybody will be on a pay freeze for the 2021 year, and that was approved by both unions. We also have a situation where with our faculty administration union, we have a notification date if people are going to be retrenched of March 15th, but we were signaled from New York State that we could not even discuss any kind of retrenchments until mid-May. So we missed that date. So what we had to do is we negotiated again with the union to get relief on the March 15th, 8/31 date, and they approved a October 31, December 31 notice. So that saves us 8 months worth of potential salaries for retrenchments. In addition to that, the Board of Trustees had approved a voluntary retirement incentive. It's an enhancement to the existing arrangement that's in place with the unions. And through that retirement incentive, we have realized 23 voluntary retirements. Those are going to be occurring as of 7/31. So this year, that'll help to close that gap that we're also anticipating in that last month for the current year state reduction. But that's 23 retrenchments we have in that area. And then from there, we're beginning the process now of involuntary retrenchments to close the rest of the gap, with notifications going out to the civil service group by 7/1 with a 7/31 retrenchment, and by 10/31 for the unionized administrators and faculty with a 12/31. That would include a review of programs for discontinuance as well, which we have a obligation to teach those out over a year. For those programs, we anticipate we may have to close in the upcoming year. We would stop admitting students, because if not, the teach out is 2 years. And in this way, the teach out would only be 1 year. And that's something that'll be going on over the course of the next year. All the indications from the state are that these reductions should be planned for in 21-22 as well. So we'll continue to work on bringing our budget into line. It is going to be, not surprisingly, like it is for the county and all other groups, painful. This is not due to deficiencies on the part of the staff or the faculty. They haven't done anything wrong that brought this about, is this case with all of us. But unfortunately, it's going to require some substantial changes to what's going on at the college. We're talking about a $41.5 million budget that's going to probably be looking about $5 million less by the end of next year. And there's no way of doing that without dealing with involuntary retrenchments, which is unfortunate, but that's where we find ourselves.
Oh, thank you for that very complete update and scenario that you're dealing with. And like you said, we're all struggling with this, and I'm glad you pointed out that this in no way is has any reflection on the staff or the programs or anything. but the excellence that the college has always shown. But it's just, we've had a shutdown of our whole economy, and now these are the ripple effects that we're gonna all see. And it's gonna take us a while to get out of it all. But I really appreciate you coming here and explaining everything you're doing at the college and going over all the difficulties that you're facing, because we all are in the same boat, pretty much.
Yeah, we know that.
Thank you for that. Is there any other comments or questions regarding this? I'm sure there are. So if the members of the Ways and Means would like to share their thoughts, go ahead, and then I'll welcome the other legislators.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Gary.
I'd just like to commend Dr. Sunzer and his staff at the college for going through this painful effort to reduce their budget and the amount that they did. I think it's an excellent job. It's unfortunate we're all put in this position. Certainly, it's nobody's fault but Albany's fault. In my opinion, it's the governor and his indiscriminate spending, and where he's something like $13 billion in debt. So we all have to suffer.
That's a very good insight. Go ahead, Shelley.
Madam Chair, President Sonser and your staff, Bill M., and I believe that the chair of the Board of Trustees, Donna, is on with us as well.
Yeah.
It is an unbelievable task, but I do so appreciate the fact that you put this plan together and that it was thoughtful and that you are working your plan, and it is transparent, it is clear, it is painful, but the communication piece for this is very critical to our community, to your staff, to your teachers, to your professors, to the support staff that you have, and to our partners in our other counties. And I would just like to say to our liaison, Legislator Tory, great job in keeping that communication line open. And we are all suffering, and it's not going to get easier for a few years yet. And we appreciate the fact that you have taken that forward look as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We are looking at this in a 1 year, 2 year, 3, 5, and 10-year model and planning it out. I would be remiss if I didn't really thank our collective bargaining groups in their willingness. And I think it speaks well to the staff, both the senior staff and the leadership of those groups, that we had a level of trust that when we went to them and told them what we were faced with, not that anybody's happy about this, it's not what we wanted or would ever want, but that we went through our process and they took votes and they gave back things that they didn't have to. And we had very candid conversations about what that would mean and how many more people that would mean might not be able to be at the college. And they stepped up and really, I believe, were responsible leaders in how they advocated with the bargaining unit groups to go ahead and approve these things, and especially the notification claim. I've had conversations daily, as all of you have, with every other college in the state that's part of the system. And I could tell you that, anybody that's connected to places like Erie or Niagara or Monroe, and you hear what they're going through and the way that their college communities are responding to this, I think it's a real testament to the people of Genesee and the way they've stepped up, because our folks they're not happy, and I don't expect them to be, but they're handling it in a much more positive way than any of those other groups that I've been aware of in my conversations.
They set a good example for the rest of the unions in the county.
Let's hope so. Chairman Donna Ferry, would you like to weigh in here?
Yeah, Dr. Sunzer did an excellent job in explaining it. And I might add that leadership on this was from the top down, and those relationships are extremely strong. I think additionally, we are so student focused, and the most important thing is to come out of this with still being an educational diamond in not only our area, but throughout the state. And even with these severe cuts, we did have to increase our tuition, but once again, I believe we're the second lowest in the state across the board as far as tuition. And that hopefully will help. Obviously, everyone's projecting lower enrollment because there's a lot of unknown factors. But we really do think that they're working very hard and very strong. And quite frankly, they did quite well over the summer, and looking at our summer enrollment, and kind of we're right in the ballpark of where we needed to be. So hopefully fall follows through, and that will be, a great accomplishment. The team is working really hard in getting those numbers up. We are expecting to fall off just like everyone else. Our two areas to the east and west of us, Monroe and Erie, are both, one has an interim president, another one, the president, they're going to be in a search. So we're very fortunate to have a really good team that looked at every aspect and worked really hard on this budget. And we had to make some very, very difficult decisions. And the board as an entirety has full support of what was done and the steps that everyone went through. So I applaud them. I mean, again, the union piece was a big piece, and those conversations only helped or happened because of a really strong relationship. So hats off.
And thank you for your leadership as well, Donna, and the rest of your board. Really appreciate the dialogue that we've been able to set up, and we're going to need to keep those communication lines open as we move forward, particularly in the next couple of years, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? Legislator Torrey, you're our liaison. Did you want to make any comments, please?
I don't think I have anything to add. I just want to thank the trustees and the management team there for their communication and their open dialogue back and forth. They kept us in the loop through this whole process, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for your help as well, Greg, in getting all that arranged. We appreciate it. Any other comments from any member of the legislature?
I would, if I may, just add one more comment.
Go ahead, Shelley.
We all value the economic generator that the college is to our county and to our region. And that is one of the gifts that the college continues to provide back to our economy. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about that also. So this is an investment from the county that we take seriously, and we also see the benefits and dividends directly in our community and in our business world here. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Shelley. All right, if there are
Marianne,
no, yeah, go ahead.
do you have a motion for approval of this? Did I miss that?
I don't believe we did that yet.
Yep, you're all
I'd
set.
like to make,
You're all
I'm
set.
sorry, what?
Go ahead, Pam.
Yes, there was a motion made by legislator Stein and seconded by legislator Young.
Oh, okay. Andy, you
You
seconded
think,
it.
you
all.
think I'd know that, huh?
Got me crazy.
Okay, good. I'm sorry about that.
I can't wait till we're back in person.
That's when you can slap me, right?
I can kick you under the table.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, we'll call the vote, please. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Dr. Sunser. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to move on to referrals from public service.
I'm
Whenever
ready.
you're
The first one, I'm ready now. Thank you. The first one is an acceptance of a grant as well as a budget amendment to provide the sheriff's office additional body armor.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Comments or questions? We kind of went through all of these at public service, but if anybody that wasn't there has any additional questions, go ahead. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Keep going.
Second one, 2020 budget amendment for the Public Defender's Office, where they will be purchasing additional licenses for software for their entire team.
I will second that.
Thank you, Shelley. Comments or questions on this resolution?
Just a question, are the grant dollars available for the public defender programs that are supporting these additional licenses? Do we know that they're secured dollars?
I don't think there's anything that's guaranteed, Shelley, but Jerry and company have at least sought, I guess what I would call approval that their present plan is fundable. But that obviously that could change tomorrow if the governor and the budget director make a decision to do their first or second 30-day shots at state aid.
Is there any way that we can charge this to the state's credit card instead of ours?
Well, my sense is that, and I'm pretty sure that Jerry's got this identified as ILS funding. So that is what's there, is because it's an expansion based on the people who are paid for by the same grant.
Yeah, I don't.
Clear as mud, Shelley?
I don't, I think the money's gonna be there for this. They're really. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next one?
Third one's a contract amendment at the Public Defender's Office with upstate quality improvement.
And
Move
second.
it.
Thank you, Legislator Mayhaw. Any comments or questions with this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
Well, next one is a change order for the countywide water project. This has to do with phase 2 and some changes that were made that we discussed at public service on Monday.
Second.
Thank you, Shelley. Comments or questions on this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
Next one is an acceptance of a grant from the Rotary Club for a capital project at DeWitt Park.
Can I have a second? Thank you, Gary. Any comments or questions on this?
Just a big thank you to the Rotary Club.
Agreed.
Everyone agrees with that. Absolutely. This is zero cost to the county because of their generosity. We really appreciate it, especially at these times. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's carried.
Last one is an agreement for tax exempt status for county-owned parcels in other jurisdictions.
Thank you, Shelley. Comments or questions with this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Andy, for that.
Thank you.
All right, and next up, we have the county manager and the department review. Jay, this is your last one.
That is true, Madam Chairman. I believe we circulated the actual written version of this. Again, it's been a very interesting year, but also a very interesting last 5 months, certainly with regard to what we've been dealing with since the start of this calendar year, but also what we did in the fall of last year, ostensibly to get ready for what we thought would be a usual and customary, but with certain large capital projects and undertakings of that nature. Obviously, the county jail and also the water project. Again, the one of which, the latter of which is still moving forward because of our debt that we were able to accomplish and achieve with the Monroe County Water Authority. Obviously, right now the jail is on pause, but as you know, we are pursuing a much more creative and potentially, I guess what I would call land breaking or landmark process with regard to our neighbors to the north, and seeking certainly significant state as well as potential other resources to come to play because of this very unique opportunity that may or may not present itself as we go forward. But that's something, obviously, you got a task force that's been ably chaired by Matt and by the sheriff, along with a significant group of shall we so call it stakeholders and other representatives. But also we're obviously, on a daily basis charged with the care and custody of our annual county budget. and the outside agency fundings, also working, obviously, it's always about teamwork, always has been, as well as, what we can do to be creative and innovative to the extent that we are given the opportunity, or in other cases, wherein the state in some cases becomes more of an impediment than they do a resource or an advocate. And that's something that's got to change. I think we're seeing it right now with regard to COVID-19 and the way that the state has controlled this. By the same token, also presenting for us some opportunities, and you're going to see more and more of this with regard to remote and or telecommuting kind of activity. You've just seen a policy circulated for the county and the departments to work on just right now a C-19 focused telecommuting policy while we're still in the throes of this pandemic. But again, it's also something that, we have pardon the expression, a kick-ass IT department with regard to their capabilities and what it is that they've done. Whenever there's a question asked, we get answers and we get solutions. And I think more and more and more, we are seeing that from all of our departments as to not just a matter of raising questions and asking why, but what is it we can do? Here's what we think we'd like to do. How do we do it? What are the resources? Or in some cases, actually bringing those things to the table and saying, here it is. Again, we're going to see more and more of this as we go forward. As I indicated in my written document, the handoff is going to be, I think, a stellar operation and certainly change oriented, because it isn't just about the budget, but it's even the knowledge and the care and expertise that comes in behind me, working with me here in terms of Matt and Vicki and Tammy, but also all the other departments of county government. We've got a leadership team that I think is second to none, working with also a very changed legislative body when you really get right down to it right now. The number of new faces and interested parties therein. What you just saw with the community college budget was very significant in terms of their ability and their adroitness at making changes and dealing with their new reality. And as you keep hearing, the new normal, so to speak, as far as everything going on in the state of New York. And very likely, as Jim even indicated, as you could see, not just the next year, but the next 2 to 3, even out to 10 years, what he's looking at and what they're looking at with regard to not just the, we are the home and the host, so to speak, but obviously the 6 campus centers that are part of a very unique undertaking here in New York State, as far as even the community college system. So those are the kind of things that, again, have given me, what I consider to be, this is my, I guess I'll call this my quintessential job. The only other thing I could think potentially might be if in my younger years I had hooked up as a roadie for either the Doobie Brothers or Santana. Other than that, I found pretty much my calling here. That's why I'm here 26 years plus. But it's also because of the people that I work with and who are supportive of this entire operation in this community. As a very relatively small community, it's amazing what we've done and what we continue to do. That there's very little I or me. It's all about we and us. That is what my charge has always been, to our people, to work with you folks and give you the best information, advice that we can. And by the same token, also recognizing that we get thrown some curveballs. And certainly C-19 has been that. But it hasn't brought us to our knees. And we continue to adapt and revise and also come out on the other side, I think, both change, but I think in very good stead. Obviously, we got 2 major hurdles, one of which is going to be what the state does as far as the budget aid and the aid is concerned. You heard Jim mention that they're talking about a 30% reduction in state aid to the community college system, let alone what that does then to us with our sponsor share, but also, what goes on in terms of that significant education resource that helps a lot of our employees get, a very reasonably placed education and continue their education, into not only getting associate's degrees, but leading into the 4-year schools. What we heard yesterday on a call with NISAC, with the community college deputy, forget what her exact name is, Ms. Gautier, they are looking at a significant new process as far as regional SUNY/community college collaborations and operations. Very different, rethinking even their future. So that's something, again, for all of us to keep an eye on, because even though I may not be working for the county anymore, I'm going to be a taxpayer continually. And so That's always what we look for, and also pay much attention to. The other thing is that obviously, as we're moving forward, we're looking at how this is going to impact our workforce. As you can see, if you were here today, you'd notice that already our County Building 1 has up the temporary signing and other operational changes for when Michael next week starts dealing more and more with people coming into the Audit Bureau or wanting to do business with the Audit Bureau. Again, we put all these plans together with regard to safety plans, sanitation plans, getting the buildings ready, working with our employees and the department heads as to their individual concerns at each of those buildings. And so that's what our office has been charged with, but also what we've taken a leadership role on, particularly so that we can try to present solutions and moving forward rather than getting stuck or mired in what I know is happening in some other locations around the state, as far as bringing back your workforce, trying to get some semblance of being able to deal with people, customers, and clients, things of that nature. But also, because significantly for us, particularly like something with an Audit Bureau, that's a major revenue resource in the county clerk's office, almost to the extent in years past that they almost literally pay for themselves, both floors. The clerk's office, but also the upstairs, but also the Audit Bureau generates almost as much revenue as it takes to employ both parts of the county clerk staff. So those are the kind of things that are going to be obviously potentially changed, but by the same token, how we continue to look at and operate under the new normal is something that, again, we're finding our people are getting more comfortable with, even though change is not easy to deal with. But it is our lot in life, and it is our pledge to you as county legislators, with what it is that we are doing and how it is that together we move forward in terms of county government and our significant, $143 million operating budget, but as you know, also our significant mandated services provisions and operational constraints, as well as the fact that it's eating up about $30 million, on an annual basis of our resources and our opportunities to do things just to serve those principal mandates that the state of New York has, one, imposed on us, and two, has shown no inkling to do anything as far as relaxation of same. So that is my report for today.
Well, I just want to say, before I open it up, Jay, I know you've been working so hard, as have all our employees, but particularly the manager's office, the amount of hours that you have put in during this crisis. We can't thank you enough for all you've been doing. I know it's meeting after meeting and Zoom call after Zoom. And I know that the chair is right there with you, so I want to commend her as well. But I just want to thank your department for all your hard work during this crisis. Lots going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about, but we know how hard you've been working, and we really appreciate it.
Well, one of the things, Marianne, that we've also tried to do is, even as you saw today, when we get information, we try to share that with you, literally from the source. One good and consistent resource that we've seen really, I think, step up to the plate is NISAC, and their ability to get information, get into the details, give us that information, keep it both current, but also continue to advocate and ask on our behalf. What is it that they know, and when they know it, can we know it? So that, again, even to the extent that we, are anticipating some pretty serious implications as far as state aid, that, because they are down there as our advocates, that, when they get that kind of detail or insight, they're very good at sharing that with all of us. We not only have conference calls with all the statewide leaders, the Shelleys and the county executives and the boards of supervisors, chair people, but also with the managers and administrators as a subgroup. And it's always interesting as to just how much insight we gain by talking to each other and communicating. And obviously communication is the key to all of this, and having a dialogue on an ongoing basis. And we did the same thing this morning with our department heads in terms of our monthly management meeting. And again, getting a sense of the pulse, and the temperature, not literally with, checking our foreheads, but with the idea of how they're dealing with people coming back, both our employees, but also with our citizens, and concerns and considerations that we need to deal with, even as we've got all of our plans put together and our contingencies starting to form. There's always going to be adjustments, and again, trying to do that's both makes sense, both programmatically, but also in terms of our ability to deal with our customers, our clients, and our taxpayers is our number one priority.
Thank you, Jay. Anyone have a comment for Jay? Shelley, go ahead.
Sure, I do. Jay, I first heard your voice as one from New Jersey when I was a town supervisor, and I thought, oh, that's a different voice.
Yeah, yesterday.
And yet you've become a voice that we can rely on and that we feel comforted when we hear it. And that commitment that you have made to Genesee County, your home now,
Absolutely.
it is felt, it is noted, and it is appreciated on so many levels. So now down to the real question. Today I saw that the governor is going to be sending out our FMAP
Yes, ma'am.
reduction of our bill. So do you really think that's going to happen soon?
Well, two things. I don't think they would have put out what I thought was interesting. I think we actually sent you a copy of the letter. What I thought was interesting is the letter itself does not relate to what the governor and the budget director have as the unilateral authority. It says the comptroller and the state legislature are responsible for what we haven't seen yet. Pardon the expression, I don't buy that statement, but I'm not going to worry and quibble about that. As I said to David Rumsey, I know you aren't going to see it right away. It's probably going to take a couple weeks. But you know, what we know is from what we've been told and what the state has been sitting on, there's at least $469,000 worth of weekly share funding between now and the end of the year that will come into play with our Medicaid line item, that $177,000 that you see every 2 weeks when you guys approve and review an audit. So, you know, as much as that is a good thing, we also got a note today that said that our VLT money is now being delayed and deferred, which we did put into the 2020 budget because again, it was actually appropriated and included in the state budget that was adopted only about 60 days ago. So while we gained something, we also had a take back. But already the mixed message that's coming in terms of the missives that come with that is quite interesting as to what the finger pointing is likely going to look like. And then how do you go back and say, so who's to blame for this? Or how do I go back and try to implore somebody to not do that when they're literally making changes, but not the way that we were told they would be done. So yeah, we are going to get our FMAP money. It's probably going to be a number of weeks. We're not sure if they've also finally handled the reconciliation for the last 3 years of Medicaid payments that were made on our behalf by the state of New York. Understand that those are technically set at about an 80% estimate. So it's likely, in our experience has been, we have not owed them money. They have technically owed us money, but this is 2020 and we're really not sure how that's going to play out, or if that is part of this release of the EFMAP money that the feds gave the state literally back in coronavirus #1, the CARES Act.
So we'll wait and not take the check to the bank yet, is what you just said.
Well, as I said to David, and I know this is what they get, we get a letter literally from the state that says, here's what's going to happen with your weekly shares. Here's when it's going to start, what payment. They actually use the payment number in the sequence of the 52 weeks, and then tell you what that new adjusted number will look like, and then go from there. And pretty much it's basically the notice and expect it to start happening when Scott has to send our weekly share down to match the federal money so that the state can maximize, in this case, the extra 6.2% of Medicaid funding that the feds are saying they will give to, the benefit to the state of New York and to the county governments across the state.
Jay, very simply, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
One other thing, I think we also circulated, or I did send out to you, NISAC had us put together a wish list or asked us to do same. So if you folks have any suggestions other than what I've got on there, what we looked at was the idea that these are things we could very easily and rapidly, if you want to call building a new county jail rapid, I'll go along with our partners to the north, so to speak, a wish list. But these are all things that have been on our immediate horizon. Also reached out to our partners at the community college, as well as, Tim and the water project, Tim and his roads and bridges, even potentially another tower for our 800 megahertz radio system. and then doing a couple more mundane things at a couple of our county buildings. But again, NISAC asked us if there's going to be this massive infrastructure bill, you know, the Fed Stim 4, or if that doesn't happen, a federal infrastructure bill of $1 trillion, how might we be able to say, here's how you develop some of the support for that? Or if the state of New York itself comes out with some kind of, I guess what I would call, you know, Shelley used the term in a draft of a letter today, the Rebuild New York, you know, refocus New York as far as capital projects and infrastructure spending. This list can be used in both cases as far as this draft potentially. So again, if you have any other comments or questions, let me know, because we'll be sending it down to our associates at NISAC on Friday.
I did get a look at the list. It looked pretty comprehensive, but if any legislator could think of anything else that would like to add to that, or things on the horizon we're not thinking about, go ahead and let Jay know.
Yeah, I told Tim and Paul, we would not be buying a county jet. And we don't think the sheriff wants his next helicopter to be one of his priority purchases, since we're still trying to make sure we replace the last vehicle that got shot up with our buddy from West Virginia when he visited our county, 3-county road system a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. Any other comments from members of Ways and Means for Jay's? Any other legislator comments? All right, Jay, you did a good job. Thank you for being so comprehensive, and thank you for all your hard work. We really appreciate it.
You got me for 2 more months.
We're gonna work it along. It's not letting up. Don't go anywhere.
8 hours a day.
All right, thanks again. Pam, for your report, next meeting?
Next meeting is Wednesday, July 15th. And if I may, I would just mention that, as discussed on Monday, the plan is to meet in person for your legislative meeting next Wednesday. And we will have individual small, this isn't it, but small 2-ounce spray bottles of hand sanitizer for each of you. Yep, Jay's got one. As well as masks will be available. If you forget to bring a mask, we will have them available.
It's modeling.
I'm ready.
Okay, Vanna.
And if anyone has any questions, certainly give me a call or feel free to email me. But as per your wishes, we're able to go back in person with the move from 10 people to 25.
That sounds good. Thank you, Pam. So I'll see everybody on Wednesday, and the next Ways and Means will be right back there as well. All right, I don't have anything under my chair report, so if anybody has anything to add to this committee, go ahead. Otherwise, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, one comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Christian.
Sorry, my space bar wasn't working. I just wanted to comment about Jay's report, and just as a new legislator, just wanted to give my thanks, and I'm very blessed to know that I got to be part of Jay's regime here at the county. And he obviously has a very capable management team behind him, but just appreciate his openness and his candor and his communication and all the hard work he spent, and the time that he spent taking me around on a department tour. I'd encourage you to take Chad on that same tour, because I thought it was.
We're already making a plan for that. We're gonna so inundate him, Christian. He won't even know which day is which.
Great.
Sneak, Chad.
Thanks for all your hard work, Jay. Thank you.
Make it a multiple day tour, or?
It needs to be.
Yeah.
Chad, whatever your schedule allows, that's what we do.
Perfect.
By the way.
All right, anyone else? Okay, motion to adjourn, please.
I'll move that.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank everyone for your time, and we'll see you next time we meet together. Can't
You
wait.
bet. Be well, be safe.
All right, bye-bye.